What's up, everybody? Metal Dave, along with my co-host Jason McMaster, bringing you another episode of the Talk Louder podcast. Today, we are joined by one of my favorites, Bryan Small from the Hangmen is with us. The Hangmen have a great new album out called Stories to Tell. Another great album, another great addition to the Hangmen catalog. They recently came back from Europe. When you are listening and watching this episode, they will be kicking off a tour tomorrow. About 10 dates, I think, running through Texas, New Orleans, and I'm not sure where else. I know I'm going to see them in Austin, Texas, and I'm so excited. Haven't seen them in 20 some years, and really looking forward to it. Bryan's one of my rock and roll heroes. Just such a amazing lyricist. I love that the album is called Stories to Tell, because that's what I feel when I listen to the Hangmen. His songs and his lyrics paint pictures. They tell stories. There's characters in the songs that I feel like I can relate to. It's a very personal and kind of heartfelt approach to songwriting. And he's got a very unique voice in the Hangmen, just a great, great band. So if you're listening to this and watching this, look for them on tour in a couple days. They'll be kicking off tomorrow, going through the South. And new album's called Stories to Tell. I know you always appreciate having Bryan on the show.
I've become enamored with how calm that he is as a person when he does these interviews with us. I don't in person, just hanging out. I would imagine that he's somewhat the same, but he seems reserved. But I know that there's a lot of shit going on in his head, because I'm not the biggest Hangman fan in the world, but I'm telling you, the songs that I've heard, the way that you're describing it, I can't describe it any better than that, because the Hangmen are not, they're not like a hair band or a cock rock band or a Camaro rock band, or they're not that kind of from the seed, from where they were born kind of a thing as a group.
Yeah.
It's not what you think. It's a dirtier place, and it's real. And I think that the wars and the shit storms that they have endured are coming through music, and it's almost like lonesome, sad cowboy lyrics.
Yeah.
Tumultuous times. Stories to Tell is a great title. It fits exactly where and what the Hangmen do and did and have done.
Yeah.
I like hearing Bryan talk about where and I feel like I connected with him today on a couple of things where he was just like, that's it, right?
Yeah, you got it.
There were a lot of moments and things that he said. I was just like, wow, I feel like I'm talking to Willie Nelson or something. I feel like I'm talking to someone who's lived and loved and lost and is still standing to tell the story and didn't die of, he took his guns to town and survived, and now we can talk about it. It's coming from that perspective of it's a little bit old-timey, as they say. You know what I mean? It's not just, he doesn't write songs about a party.
No. And that's what I love about the Hangmen. Yeah. It comes from a very authentic, genuine place, and that's why I find it so intriguing, because it's like, you can tell it's not written for the end goal to get on the radio or be a hit or whatever. It's like, this is what I'm feeling. This is my craft. This is my art. Here's a story that I have that I'm going to put to a song, and maybe some people will get it and some people won't. I don't know, but this is why I do it.
It might not be the stories, the lyrics, if you will, may not be as cold and stark as I'm sort of describing or fantasizing here or glorifying here, but they're pretty cold and stark.
Yeah.
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 And that's what I
Yeah.
think, that's what is beautiful and attractive to me. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One thing Bryan Small will never be accused of is faking it. So
no,
it, it all
he doesn't wear yellow and pink.
it all comes from the heart, and that's what makes it so genuine. So
Yeah. Yellow and pink are not in his lyric vocabulary.
no, no, there's a lot of seedy characters and heartbreak and
Yeah.
there's celebration too, but
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. In a different way.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not all party, 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 but
I think
that's what I
that
love about
the
it.
lonesome cowboy that you hear about in country songs, this is where he is. Yeah.
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 Obviously a storyteller. The new album from the Hangmen is called Stories to Tell, appropriate title. Bryan Small today on the Talk Louder podcast. So, Bryan, tell us you've got a tour coming up. When this episode airs, you'll actually be starting the tour tomorrow.
Good.
So you're doing a short run, and you're out with our friends, the Oxys from Austin. Do you know Jason or any of those guys?
No, Jimmy James, our guitar player, he's been telling me about the Oxys and said, we should get together with them and do something through Texas. And it's kind of working out. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. We haven't been down that way in years and years.
Man, no kidding. I was doing the research, and I don't think I've seen you since 2001 at South by Southwest when you played at you played on the back patio at Casino El Camino.
Yeah.
Jason got up with the Street Walking Cheetahs that day, and
Okay.
they knocked
What
out.
song did you do, Jason? Do you remember?
They learned one of my Broken Teeth songs, Undertaker, and I did that, and I did an Iron Maiden song, Sanctuary, from the first Iron Maiden record, and it's on YouTube. The Iron Maiden song is on YouTube. It's pretty fucking great. If I don't say so myself. It was just super fun.
What Iron Maiden song was that?
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I get tickled because David Fricke from Rolling Stone is over in the corner headbanging.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my favorite part.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't know if you've been to Texas since or Austin since then, but I honestly at the time wasn't quite aware of who you guys were. I was there because of the Street Walking Cheetahs and Jason, and you guys happened to be on the bill. And then I became a huge fan, and I don't think I've had the chance to see you since. So
we'd been through Austin a few times. I think once or twice with the Super Suckers, and at I forgot the name of the place, but it was downtown there.
Red Eyed Fly, maybe?
No.
Okay.
Super Suckers, the Parish.
No.
Continental.
Is that there?
Oh, the Continental Club is that's on
South Congress, but that's downtown.
I don't know Austin very well.
All good.
Well, the point is, I'm long overdue, man. I'm way, way overdue.
Well, so are we,
Yeah.
But then we came with Social Distortion once and did the outdoor thing at Stubbs.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
Dude, where was I, man? I can't believe I missed you.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you have a history with have a history with Mike Ness. He produced one of your albums.
He did.
Tell us a little bit about that. What's your story with Mike Ness, and how did he get involved in your album? This was in the city, right?
Yeah, in the city. Well, Johnny Two Bags Wickersham from Social Distortion, he was in a band called the Cadillac Tramps back in the 80s, and we did some shows with them, and he became a friend and a fan of the band, and then when he got recruited into Social Distortion, he kept telling Mike about us. And finally, they had us out for a show down in San Diego. And that started about a 5-year or more relationship with them as far as tours and shows. And, we kept getting kind of closer and closer with them and with Mike. And, after one of these runs we did with them, Mike said, whatever you guys do next, recording wise, I want to produce it. And I was like, well, okay, that sounds like it'll work out,
Yeah.
And we didn't have enough songs for full length, but we wanted to take advantage of the time we could have with Mike. And In the City was what came out of that.
Yeah. That sounds like a perfect partnership. You and Mike, your songwriting styles are very complementary, I would say, similar in a way.
Yeah, I really loved working with them.
Yeah.
I really did. I just like the fact that I was a fan of his music and that he was a fan of our music, and that, and he understood what I was trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was nice. And it was an honor, I really loved having Mike, and he helped me finish up a song. He's got a co-write on one of the songs.
Right.
But that was cool.
You guys, the Hangmen just came back from Europe recently. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
A few months back.
I know it's really difficult for bands to tour right now because of the expense and everything. And I always find it interesting that some bands will tour, but they'll tour in Europe as opposed to the States, even though they're based in the States. Like, I know you guys have gone to Europe. I know Junkyard went out to Europe. I think Rhino Bucket has done Europe more so. It seems like Europe is more of a priority than the States. Is at the same time that it's also expensive to tour. So can you explain how that works and why it is that there seems to be more of a market in Europe maybe than here at home?
I have no idea why there's more of a market there. But that is one of the reasons to go, of course, plus the proximity of all the drives are all these countries are very close together in the city. So you don't have a lot of really hardcore drives.
Yeah.
And, the way bands are treated over there is a lot more respectful. It's they really give a lot of respect for the rock over there. So
yeah.
And man, it doesn't go unnoticed. So of course we want to go back, and so those are three things. And we usually do okay. We do better each time we go, is financially and the size of the venues that we're playing and the number of sold out shows.
Yeah.
So
do you get,
but the last tour was really good.
Do you
really
get any like vacation time out of that? Do you have time to get away and see the sites, or it's all gig and hotel and gig and hotel?
Yeah. Because we're going over there on a mission, and that's it.
Yeah. Keep it tight.
That mission is it.
Yeah. You've got a new album out, Stories to Tell, another awesome addition to the Hangmen catalog. And I love your songs because you have a great way of, you're a storyteller. You paint pictures, you have characters in your songs. and I don't know if I asked you this the last time, but I want to ask you again, how much of this stuff is autobiographical? Because it seems like it's really, really close to you, the lyrics and the characters.
Yeah, they are. There's a lot of characteristics of things that have happened to me in the past that I can put on another character, like the hard luck Jim,
Yeah.
Tom John, it's just a couple of fucking fuck ups. And,
Yeah.
and I've been that, and
Do you feel
yeah,
like
bad.
do you feel like that helps you? I mean, it's got to be cathartic. It's got to be, do you feel like it helps you sort of be a better man, being able to have
Therapeutic.
this avenue to sort of tell the stories that, about these characters? And it's probably not really a secret that these characters could very well be you.
Mhm.
Do you feel like it helps you settle your mind on maybe sins of the past, kind of a thing?
Sure. It absolutely does, because I can just get this craziness out of my head that still follows me, unfortunately,
Sure.
But like a couple lines in the songs are like, out of my mind, I'm a running kind. That's, I can still get that way, but it feels the song is the outlet for
Yeah.
that. You can't really go up to people going, I'm nuts and I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on,
Right.
So you can say it in a song, like, I'm
Yeah.
out of my mind, I want to run,
Yeah.
So
Tell me about the song, The Last Time. I think that's my favorite song on the record. And I mean, the opening line, I got a friend, is it uptown or downtown? And then you change it.
yeah, yeah,
Got a friend uptown, got a sad feeling about. And then you change it. I got a sick feeling about friend
mhm,
uptown.
yeah,
Uh, and then I love the line where you said you're cool last time I saw you. You said you'd make it through last time I saw you. So
all
it
right.
sounds like a
Mm.
farewell song of sorts to a friend of yours. Can you elaborate on that and tell us where that comes from?
Yeah, that's the song for Montrose Heathman.
Ah,
And
yeah.
shortly after he passed, that riff, the down,
Yeah,
like something that I know Ron would have loved to have played.
yeah,
Just that riff just sounded very Ron-ish to me,
yeah.
Montrose.
From the
And
Super Suckers.
yeah, and I wanted to, it just started coming out that this was a song for him. And the last time that we talked,
Yeah,
I I'm keenly aware of drug addict bullshit, because I was a, a king of that too. And I can tell when he was bullshitting me and saying, "Hey, no, I'm cool, everything's good," you
yeah,
know, and I just knew in my stomach that it's not, and
yeah,
there's not much I could do about it,
yeah. That's
unfortunately, and it's a very hopeless feeling.
That's interesting that you share that with us because I can tell that song comes from a very personal place, and the lyrics are so vivid that it's obvious it comes from a personal place. I didn't know it was about Montrose,
Yeah,
but the lyrics in that song and the riff. Now that you explain it, it does sound like a Montrose riff. That whole thing
yeah.
sounds like something he would play. Great song, by the way. I love that song.
Thank you. Yeah.
What about Midnight Riders? That song sounds very like a recalling your youth, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there was a lot of nights that I'm sure you guys can relate to, or maybe you can't, I don't know. But being young musician, uh, trying to figure out your place, you know, I just got into LA and I was there with a bunch of like-minded musicians and artists, and we would just the use of alcohol and drugs was just our way of relating to or not relating to the world. We didn't really want to relate to the world, you know, and I would look out the window of our apartment and just be baffled by how people go to work and you know, and our outlet was the night. And you know, so it was like a gang
Yeah.
of kids, you know, and I
There's,
just called them the Midnight Riders. So
there's a line in that song, all the punks in the bars in Hollywood looking for an escape.
yeah.
That sounds very specific. Do you
Yeah.
recall the punks you were hanging out with and the bars that you're talking about?
Yeah, it was Raji's for us, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember that was the place where everyone came up in that period. You
Yeah.
had Tool, you had L7, you had Junkyard, you had the Sea Hags, you had the Nymphs, you had us, you had all these bands like that wouldn't, you know, they weren't all the same. Jane's Addiction, they were all at Raji's coming up together. And this was our escape. This was our, like, you know, our clubhouse, our safe, dangerous place.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, where we could be as fucking dangerous as we want and no one's gonna care, you know.
Right. You're among your people.
Yeah, there weren't really any consequences for our shitty behavior. You know?
Now that it's 30 something years later, do you understand still at all? You used the word baffled. Do you have any understanding at this point in your life why people would get up early and go to work?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the rebel youth, of course, right? I mean, I knew the answer to that because
Right.
you're here and you look great and you know, you go through these things because of your rebel youth and misspent youth, right? As they say, and you figure out all of these things along your journey, but when you're a rebel and you're not quite yet to submit to the common man's footprint or footprints or path, I feel like there's something to be said about the path you took as a musician, as a songwriter, as an artist, to not have a 9 to 5 and to have that. And that's just the idea of you know, someone, well, I'm gonna get straight A's and I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna get my degree and I'm gonna get married and have 2.5 kids and I'm gonna have a house and you know, the whole like storybook. That's not the plan at all for you and your family and your people coming up in Raji's. No one there was really thinking like that at all. So making your own way, doing it your own way, creating your own everything, and then eventually realizing or that those people have kids and they're responsible for something that maybe I'll include myself, because I kind of have chosen that some of the same paths as all of the folks that you mentioned, of course, and David too. And it takes a while for a person, just a human mind, to conceptualize the idea of submitting to some kind of, you know, safety because you don't, safety is not in your vocabulary at all until a certain point. And I feel like this path of an artist is a beautiful path, and it's like a warrior of some kind. Whether I'm not judging by intelligence levels of intelligence here. I'm basically suggesting the ideas that you have in your songs and the stories you're telling in your songs, but you have to have your heart broken. That's just metaphorically, of course, to tell the stories that you tell. And I feel like the people that your family of, the band, the people you mentioned, the people you write songs about, you've yet to write those songs about those people because you only know what's in front of you when you're at a certain age. And then as you go, you've learned from those people, those times, and those paths. And you either know better or you don't. And I feel like have you ever thought about writing a book? Sorry, I was long-winded to just ask if you need to write a fucking book, dude.
Draw some pictures.
Yeah.
Stick figures.
Yeah. Buy some paint,
Yeah. No, but
your songs are your books.
Yeah. And I don't think, I think everyone's got a story. I know
for
everyone's
sure.
got a story, and they're all interesting, and I really like hearing what older people have to say and what they've been through. It's really interesting. It's just like, holy shit, we're just crybabies,
Yeah.
And
generally a human being at this point is just a big fucking helpless, completely helpless. And then you hear stories of somebody who went to war and didn't have the internet. Whatever a level of consciousness, whether it be, how did you survive without Xbox?
Right. And you can, it's all perspective, and you could look at where we're at now for if we're in the future and looking back at us now, just going, holy shit, those guys were being inundated by all these things that humankind has never been inundated by before. We're just constantly like
bombarded.
Technology's so fast that, and that's a whole nother, if you look at it, a whole nother war in a way,
Correct.
Just, God damn, it's all perspective though,
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons I love your music so much, and you particularly because you're the lyricist, is that you do have this great ability to tell a story, and it's relatable. Like when I'm listening to your songs, I feel like I'm sitting next to you in the car, and I know those characters that you're talking about, and I know that emotion that you're going through. You just have a really eloquent or articulate way of saying, something that we've all been through, but you really capture it. There's something very heartfelt about the way you say it. And then you put it to the perfect music every time. Like, tell me about The Running Kind. That's another one that just grabs me. And it's kind of a slower song. It's a little, it's twangy.
Yeah.
But again, it makes me feel like I know who you're talking about when you talk about The Running Kind. Who is that about? What's that all about?
Well, that could be about anyone who's just like, it's kind of about fear in a way, because you get into a spot and you don't know the way out. So you just run, and a lot of that gets romanticized.
Yeah.
Being like I'm like Ricky Bobby's dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just couldn't fucking do right. And he just had to fuck up every situation, you know. It felt too he couldn't have anything good, you know. Ricky Bobby. We were
Yeah.
just talking that the other night. And I so related to that, you know. He's just like, fuck you, you know, just like, and everything was fine, but he just had to blow it up, you
Yeah.
know. And
I love that. I think I get attached to the emotion in your songs. I think that's why I'm such a fan, because you express it so well. I feel like I can relate to it. I feel like I know the characters. I feel like I'm with you during the song. Um, Tell me about the Bayou Moon. To me, that's the song that Mick and Keith are going to be jealous of. That is pure Stones.
thanks, man. Yeah. That song almost didn't make it on the record, and I'm glad it did. I don't know. The riff came first, you know, that and the riff was, to my ears, was so good that it had to be pursued to the end. And, you know, and I'm glad we did. And I'm glad that I was seriously not going to put it on the record until I heard the mix that Andy Carpenter had done. And I was going, okay, it all makes sense now. You know, the song is the way I imagined it should be, because we just weren't there yet until it was mixed, you know. And it's Jimmy James gets to play some harmonica on it. And it was we did it on tour in Europe, and we had to figure out how to get some of these elements that were very important, like the cowbell, and
Yeah.
Jimmy to put down his, you know, to pick up the harmonica, and all this stuff was like stuff we hadn't really ever rehearsed or thought of. Just like, so we'll get the merch guy to come out and play the cowbell, you know, because you can't do that without an extra person in the band, you
Yeah.
know, play that and that cowbell thing, you know. So,
Yeah.
but it's fun. Um, it's just the imagery of the Bayou Moon. It's all in the lyrics. It's all entwined, and it's something that I'm such a big fan of Creedence and Gun Club and the Stones, obviously. You know,
Yeah.
this was kind of a smash of all that stuff. You know, lyrically, I took a couple lines from Gun Club. Well, I took one line from a Gun Club song, "Got a Jack on Fire."
Yeah.
What's the? Anyways,
No,
we we ended up in Berlin with a couple days off, which is rare. You talked about that earlier. Did you have any days off? Well, we actually did in Berlin, and we weren't happy with that. So we're going, well, let's try and do a video while we're there.
hmm
Um, I called Texas Terry. Do you guys know Texas
Yeah.
Terry?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because she lives in Berlin, and I go,
Right.
you know any young directors or film people in Berlin? She goes, oh yeah, I'll call somebody up, you know. And she was just so helpful, and like, yeah, we'll work out something. Met these guys from she hooked us up with some guys from the Ukraine who have just been in Berlin for a couple months. And the director sent me his idea of the song, you know, because I sent him the song first. Then he sent me a real rough thing, and it was great, you
Yeah.
know. And we went around Berlin and just found some cool locations and shot the New Orleans Bayou or the South in Berlin.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was amazing, and meeting these guys and hearing their stories. Their families are still in the war. They're in the war zones.
Yeah.
They're just young, talented, trying to do their thing.
Yeah.
God, what a lucky thing for us.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about how spoiled we are as a society, and you talk to someone like that whose family is
Yeah,
literally in the war zone, and
yeah,
all of a sudden you're not bitching about your Wi-Fi or something.
yeah. And they pulled out all the stops. It was a three man, or there was a girl and three guys, all from the Ukraine, and just busting ass to get the shots, and we're moving on. And are the cops going to come? Or are we going to get kicked out of here? Because we were doing some kind of
Guerrilla video
stuff,
shoot. Yeah.
with the axes and.
Yeah. You mentioned Credence earlier, and the new album has a John Fogerty song,
Yeah.
"Sinister Purpose."
Yeah.
What was it about that song that drew you to it and made you decide that was the one for your album?
Well, that was a Jimmy James entry. He comes
Okay.
up with stuff like this, and you know, and we just tried it, and it sounded like us.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it didn't sound like we're trying to do one of their hit songs,
Right,
but it's a hit to us. It fit us,
right,
just
right.
like Russian roulette fit us.
Exactly. Yeah,
No, it's the same. It was the same feel immediately, of like, oh, this makes sense.
yeah. You guys have a history of doing cover tunes, but just like you said, you don't go for the obvious hit. It's usually a deep cut, and someone has to know the original artist to know that it's even a cover. Number one, because it's a deep cut. Number two, because you do it so well, it does sound like a Hangmen song. And I think "Sinister Purpose," you just nailed it right there. It sounds completely at home on your record.
Yeah, I think so too. You know,
What can you tell us about the album cover? Three skeletons playing cards at a
it's
table.
just it. It's an old image from the 1800s, and we kind of had our artist friend kind of re-whack it and make it a little different. But it just seemed like they're just three old guys telling stories, and talking shit and playing cards, you
Yeah,
know. Oh, so it just kind of fit. I was gonna want to do the cover with a bunch of old tattoo art,
yeah,
because tattoos tell stories,
yeah, yeah,
and have that as a thing. But we're really not all tatted up, and it didn't, that may have fit for a different band.
yeah, yeah.
Conceptually, it kind of fit, but it didn't really sit like perfectly well with me. And this did. It's just like, oh, these, you know,
Fair enough. Yeah. Again, storytellers, just like yourself.
yeah, they're just bullshitting. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
who knows
Um,
if the stories are true or not?
well, that's sort of the beauty of it, isn't it? It's left to the listener to decide.
Mm.
I saw a photo of you with Alice Cooper somewhere. I don't know if that was your Facebook page or whatever. What's the story behind that?
I was working on a TV commercial it was a foreign beer commercial with I think it was maybe Japanese, for the Japanese market.
Yeah,
And they had a pop artist from Japan, and then they had Alice Cooper. And it was, it's just a job. and we were set dressing and decorating for this thing. And Alice was super, super sweet and gave us all a chance to have a picture with him. And we did a song on a tribute record for Alice. Welcome to
My Nightmare. Yeah.
It was a tribute album. What song?
Yeah, tribute album with a bunch of LA bands. And I had him sign that. We did Only Women Bleed.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So,
The Toys used to cover that.
did they really?
Yeah.
It's a great song.
Wow.
Yeah, we always did that and Pretty Vacant back to back.
I remember you guys doing Pretty Vacant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Only Women Bleed? That's Dick Wagner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Our buddy Robert Wagner is Dick Wagner's son. He lives here in Austin. And
So he wrote that song?
I think Dick Wagner wrote that song.
Dick
yeah.
Wagner, our buddy's dad. I wrote some songs with Dick Wagner, but we didn't use any of them. They were very orchestrated. They had all these parts, and the Toys are this kind of ZZ Top, bog hat, butt rock band sprinkled with rat, rat salad kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they just didn't work. But God, what a writer he was.
Well, so what did you do with where are those songs?
They didn't get demoed. We had bits and pieces on a boombox. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
Yeah, we wrote some songs with Randy Bachman as well.
No way.
Yeah, right. Well, that's kind of they're like country butt rock. They're like boogie woogie butt rock kind of party Camaro rock. I love that kind of shit. And
that was my first concert, BTO.
Wow, awesome. Yeah. Same story. We actually demoed one of the songs that we wrote with him. It was called Anything for Fun. And there's a demo of it probably on the stack behind me. But we never made a record. So.
Wow.
So if I can look up your version of Only Women Bleed, Bryan?
You can. Awesome. Maybe you'll find it.
Dude, I'm so gonna do that as soon as we're done.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Yeah, that was with the Geffen lineup of the band.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think Keith Morris produced it.
Wow.
He was there.
Wow.
Yeah. We weren't in good shape, but we managed to pull that.
Made it through.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it, man. That's a great song, and you guys always put your stamp on things. So I'd love to hear your voice on that song. The new album versus Cactusville, your last album, I noticed, at least on the credits on Cactusville, it seems like side A is sort of the band that we know, the Hangmen, and then side B is sort of you and a revolving cast of characters. And then Stories to Tell, the new album, is back to a cohesive band doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that difference between the two albums.
Well, like you said, this side two of Cactusville, it was originally just me wanting to do like the slower stuff, unencumbered by who was going to be in it, like thinking, oh, Jimmy has to play on this, or George has to play, or I could invite a keyboard player or strings or stuff that we don't normally really deal with too much.
Yeah.
It was just like a no barriers type. I don't care if this doesn't fucking rock. These are songs that I want to do right now, and I don't like being concerned with that. Does it rock or not? Because I think if it moves you on a level that rocks, you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
it just,
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think the Running Kind on your new album, to me, that song rocks, and it's not a rocker, but
right.
it
Yeah.
hits you, it touches you, it
Yeah.
puts you in a place, and that rocks. When you're able to do that with a song, to me, that's all important.
Do you feel like I mean, I think I know the answer, but I just want to put it on the table for our listeners is, do you feel like when you have lineups change throughout the years, when you've been in it as long as you have, when you're putting songs together with collaborative efforts, whether it be a group or just another one of your main go-to songwriters, writing partners, if not the whole band, do you feel like you have to bend a little bit or not sacrifice because you want it to be a band effort, or come off that way and make sure everyone's itch gets scratched? And then there's the whole other side of the coin of this, same coin where there, I don't want to say pressure, from outside, from third parties, if you will, saying, well, your record's not complete because it doesn't have this face or this color. It's all one face. And it all seems like it's one dimensional coming from this. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you feel like you want to help other people in your group, their itch gets scratched? Do they have some, well, man, I want us to have a rockin' song on the record and you're over here the whole time? Do you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Jimmy, Angelique, and George have never not been on board for trying different things, and they've always, I hope they know that the door is always open for their ideas too. Like there's more there's more co-write type stuff on this record, where Angelique would come up with a bridge, that I could never think of, and she just goes, why don't we try this, and then it's there,
Wow. Yeah.
and I want to give her the proper credit for doing that. I think in the past, I don't know if I was that aware of, what the others contribute as much, and Jimmy, just like on the song Stories to Tell, that was his riff, the whole boo doo 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 bam,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's, and I want to acknowledge that was Jimmy, so
I think one of the things with the Hangmen is you've kind of been able to keep your palette wide open. Nobody looks at the Hangmen and expects you to be a punk rock band all the time, or a heavy metal band all the time, or a cowpunk band all the time. You kind of have purposely sort of left the door open, and so nothing really strikes anyone as sort of a left turn, you know. And I think you're able to pull from the talents of your co-writers and your musician, your bandmates or whatnot, and almost anything is fair game for trying, right? Because you haven't put yourself in a box.
that is totally unintentional, but luckily, since the first record, we did have slow country-ish type songs on it, and punk rock songs on it, and mid-tempo like rockers on it, like My Way, and then you go to what is that other song? I Know What I Want, Baby, It's Not You.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's over for you,
yeah, yeah. You've kind of always had.
but they all somehow live together, you know?
Right. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You're able to, throughout your career, you've been able to put seemingly disparate sounds together and still come up with a cohesive whole. And that's I don't think a lot of bands can get away with that.
I think that the point that I was making a minute ago is when you're working out together as a group for, 10, 20, 30 plus years, and it's pretty much the same nucleus, whether it be the Hangmen or, his band, her band, my band, your band, whatever. I feel like there's always a song or two, shit, maybe more, that someone or people in your family, in your group, in your band might say, I don't really like that one that much, but I play it because he really likes it. But they're saying that respectfully. They're not like, I hate this fucking song. Let's kill this song from the set and do, if I'm guilty of saying that in the past, but then later on realize, well, I really like this song and I wrote the fucking lyrics. Why did I say I didn't like it? Maybe it was the way the band sounded on it, not pointing at any players, but there would be something where I was that day or that year that made me feel like, this is not the message I want to stick out there right now. Do you feel like, I think that's where I was going. Is everyone just, I mean, surely not just following your lead and go, yeah, that's okay. Go ahead, Bryan. I mean, if there's something weird, do they help you help them through it by just communicating that collaborative effort and making sure that you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, it's important. It's important as a band to have that.
No,
honesty.
we do have that. We absolutely have that. You know, whether it's a drum thing or, a rhythm thing, or a tempo thing, it's all, that's all considered, and
if somebody's uncomfortable playing a part in a song and they don't say anything and it gets recorded that way, they're fucked.
Yeah.
People don't, outside fans don't know the stories behind the emotional value a song would have or effect it would have on a player who actually helped write the fucking song, and didn't come out the way you self-admitted a minute ago. You weren't sold on, sorry, the title's escaping me, on a song, and you didn't really think it was going to make it until you heard the mix. It's interesting that the mix would change your mind about a song you wrote. It's crazy, right?
I think the rest of the band thought I was nuts by wanting to not put it on the record.
Right.
And they voiced that,
They were feeling it and you weren't feeling it. I was kind of going the other way though. Like, are they just following your lead? And they were arguing with you about that fucking song.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're right.
These are big issues. These are these are the things that make rock and roll go around the world and have the ability to have that emotional value to the song when you play them, or record them. So
Do you write for an album, or are you constantly writing, and then when it's time to put out an album, you pull together maybe your favorite 8 or 10 songs, and that's what we get?
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah. That's, I mean, I'm not prolific enough to, well, I'm prolific because I got 2,000 little ideas on this thing.
Yeah, on your phone.
None that I will use,
Right.
But maybe today I'll have one that I will use, So no, when when the songs start coming, and I don't know if they ever will, or if if we're gonna have another record or not, because I don't know. It's like I just got to be playing.
Do you ever
And
find
something happens?
Do you ever
great.
find lyrics just laying around like that you hadn't picked up in a couple of years, and you, what the fuck is this? That's my handwriting. I don't even remember writing this. Wow, that's pretty good. Does that ever happen?
Not so much that. It's just so much. It's more what I hear from
Okay.
people talking, and I go, oh God, like East of Western came out of a conversation. That was the title of one of our records, and you go, that describes, exactly the vibe I wanted to have on that. And it's kind of an insider thing, because all of our Hollywood was more east of Western Avenue. The rest of the Sunset Strip and everything, that was west.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were on the east side where Raji's was, and like where Hollywood proper was.
Yeah. We've had people on the show that describe that, that people tend to think of Hollywood and the Sunset Strip. They think of Poison and Rat and Motley Crue.
Yeah, they don't think of any personal segregation.
But yeah, over on the east side, you had your Rhino Buckets and your Sea Hags and your Hangmen and L7 and Junkyard and things like that. I love that people call that to other people's attention, because I think a lot of people tend to think of Hollywood and Los Angeles in the 80s as being one thing.
Oh.
And that's the thing that ended up on MTV or whatever. But there was a whole nother very vibrant scene.
Yeah, it was definitely not one thing.
Yeah.
And I was as guilty or more guilty than anyone for being like, you stay there, this is ours, and it's not anything I'm really proud of. I mentioned the last time we spoke, maybe about Guns N' Roses coming into Raji's,
Yeah.
and me feeling like, fuck, game over. This place is jumped the shark.
Yeah. They've
For
invaded
me,
the space.
and for what I considered sacred ground, and
Right.
I was just too precious about it. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like Austin, Texas.
That's what you were saying last time.
Because Austin is really great, and now it's not so great.
Right.
I mean, it's always going to be great. It's the capital of Texas, but it's the art capital of Texas in my mind. Right. Because of the hippies in the 60s, and I used to think it was in the water, that there was just anything goes kind of a thing, and everyone was connected. And now it's just the same thing that's happened to Hollywood and Los Angeles and fucking Nashville and everywhere else now.
Right.
But that you loved your house.
Yeah.
And when somebody from the other side walked into your house, you're like, uh-oh.
Right.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just a loss of sincerity to me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel at the time that certain bands were authentic, because I saw the real shit.
Yeah.
I saw the stuff that was really dangerous.
Right.
And the more years that go by, the less I have of this like thing,
Sense of ownership.
I actually,
bone to pick.
I actually can look at guns, like a band like Guns N' Roses, and see the value and know they were more than what I perceived they were.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because they weren't in the same thing, they were still struggling and doing their thing almost identical to what we were doing.
Goes back to what I was saying a little while ago, I think. Just about how it takes a lifetime to sometimes to understand why. Fuck, you're going to get up at 6 a.m. for the rest of your life and go to the same job? Fuck that. I'm free as a bird and I can write a song and paint a picture and feel good about this freedom I have, and you're locked down. I feel like it takes time for you to be able to say that. And you're not even really talking about Guns N' Roses. You're just talking about perspective, as
Yeah, yeah.
say, you know.
Yeah, with age comes wisdom, you know, and your perspective will change.
I think that it's great that you can look back and see your hard ass self and come through the journey being who and whatever you are right now, and I think that it's beautiful.
What can you tell us about this documentary? You and I were talking offline, and you mentioned a documentary on the Hangmen. Can you give us a timeline or tell us anything about that?
He's like, "What are you talking about?"
Did I open up a can of worms that I shouldn't have?
I don't really know that much about it. I know that there's a director that's wants to do it, and he put together a little thing, and I was going, okay, well, what he put together kind of told the story in a small package without me going like, well, that's not real. That didn't happen. It just seemed like, oh yeah, this is kind of our story. So if somebody wants to tell it, you know, and he's very talented, and I don't know if anyone will care about it, but
I will.
You know, it's just another story. I think a documentary on anyone is going to be interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I think your band, especially, and you as a person,
we've got stories to tell.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. That's why I love the title of the album, because it's so perfect for you.
I like your reaction to that question. Your knee-jerk your facial expression just went fuck haywire, like you know, you just, I can't even make the face. And I bet you couldn't make the face again right now if you tried. I think that I suffer from imposter syndrome, and like, what? You know, ask myself, wait, what? So often that it's part of this, just my vocabulary. I feel like sometimes, you know, the typical worthiness or self deprecation kind of feel like it's like, what, you want to do what? Oh, you know, man, really, you know. But at the same time, I think everything and everyone is worthy, and once again, it takes a lifetime sometimes to understand why someone would be interested in your story, in the Hangman story, in Dave's story, in mine, because everybody has one. And like you said, I think documentary style, it's interesting for it's human nature to be curious about how so-and-so got where they are. So
yeah, I'm flattered that anyone would want to do it. And I'm not trying to be self-deprecating. I'm trying to, it's, you know, it's a weird thing, because I think that our music deserves to be heard, and that it's all the songs have stood the test of time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I don't think we deserve anything. You know, it's just like a stupid false humility type. I don't know.
I get it.
You know, it's just, but somebody's going to do it, and that's cool. And hopefully, you know, it'll be good.
Yeah, I know I'll be interested in it, because a big fan of your band, and as you said earlier, you definitely have stories to tell. I wanted to ask you one last question before we let you go. in all your experience and as a songwriter, who's on your bucket list of someone you'd like to collaborate with?
They're all dead.
Okay. If you could bring someone back, who would it be?
Oh man. Huh. I don't know. I mean, there's a million names, not a million, but a lot of names going through my head, you know, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, you know.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan's alive.
Yeah.
Call him up. Call him.
But I don't know.
Yeah. All right. It's tough question. Iggy. Yeah, that would be great.
If I could write the music for a song and have him put some lyrics and stuff on it, you know, that would be fantastic.
That would work.
Yeah.
That would work.
Oh. How's your son doing?
He's great, man. Thanks for asking. He just turned 16, so he's starting to drive.
What a kid, man. He's so talented. I couldn't imagine being able to play drums like that at that age.
Yeah.
I know. He blows my mind. I mean, last night I sat upstairs and watched him play guitar for like an hour and a half, and my head was spinning. I'm like, where does this come from? How's he doing this? He's never even had a guitar lesson, but he's playing along to, you know, all kinds of stuff that he finds on YouTube. He puts his favorite song on the TV and then plays along with it. So right now he's in a Stooges phase and some band called Deer Hunter.
What's with that?
What's that?
What's with that? I don't know if you guys were skateboarders, but when I was a young skateboarder and doing a wheelie or a 360 was a big thing, you know? And I don't know if it equates to music, you know, like now kids that were my age and I was doing a 360 and I was just like, fucking wow, you know?
Same.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now they're doing, you know, double backflips and stuff at that age that I was. You know, is it the same thing with music that they're just like, they're just more talented, like instantly?
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I'm still teaching at School of Rock, 20 years going on now, and I see teens and preteens just playing. I don't know the names of the chords they can play, and they can just hear a song and play it right back at me, and I'm like, that wasn't me at 12, 13.
When we were kids, though, that didn't happen.
Not as often as I am magically getting to see it nowadays, just because of, you know, I get to see it raw and true. Just these kids, and you know, it's a school, they're taking lessons, but when you can show them where the box is for the solo, like this, and then they play it right back at you, you're like, yeah, that's it. You got it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know where it comes from. It certainly didn't come from me. So
well,
kids doing like stuff that Eddie Van Halen broke the mold with.
That's right.
You know, at their age.
That's right.
Going beyond that. It's like,
wow. Yeah, I can't explain it. I just sit back and appreciate it and enjoy it.
I think Dash is getting it. He has some kind of he's got an ear, because, you know, I've never had any lessons. I don't know if Brian's ever had lessons, but if you have an ear and you can hear and you pick stuff out, I think that's what Dash has. He's got a natural ear. So
does he sing also, Dave?
No, he not yet. You know, that's one thing.
That's next.
That's next. Yeah, he plays drums, guitar, piano, and then in the marching band at school, he plays marimba. He plays a number of instruments, but so far hasn't done any singing.
And mom and dad want him to be a lawyer, right?
I don't care what he does as long as he becomes independent and self-sufficient.
In
So,
other words, get a
That's-
fucking job.
That's a good way to put it.
yeah.
Well, it's good parenting either way. So
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, we'll support it till the wheels fall off,
That's
especially
right.
when we see how dedicated he is to it. So
Yeah, that's
more power to you, man. I didn't stick with it, so I'm glad
dude,
you
that's
did.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man. We won't keep you. I know it's Sunday and you've got things to do. We do appreciate you taking time, and I'm looking forward to finally seeing you again, man. You'll be here in a couple weeks, and I'm totally there.
Cool.
I hope you don't mind if I fanboy out on you and maybe have you autograph an album or two for me. That I would love that.
Of course, Dave.
Dude, you rock.
Awesome to see you. I don't know if Jason can make it out, but it'd be nice to see you too. But
yeah, I would love to try to make it.
April 6th in Austin at the Lost Well, I believe.
Well, I won't be there.
Got it.
I have a gig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there. And
Great.
I'm looking forward to it. Everybody needs to check out your new album, The Hangmen, Stories to Tell, another great album to your catalog. Always appreciate you, man. You're one of my favorites. I thank you for spending time with us today. On behalf of my co-host, Jason McMaster, I'm Metal Dave, along with our special guest today, Bryan Small from The Hangmen on the Talk Louder podcast.
Thank you.